during the time of COVID, hearing their testimonies. Sometimes we weren't even in a church service. We're just riding in a car. And Sister Helen from Nepali, Brother Danny's wife, she just began to testify about during COVID what God did. And how she lost her father. And her father had just became a Christian for about 5 years or so. And she came from a Hindu background. And her family began to say, you know what, it's because you became a Christian. And they started mocking her and saying, see what happens when you become a Christian? And she would cry, but she would pray, and God ended up blessing her. God ended up blessing her with Pastor Danny, Pastor Mika's son. And she was so blessed. Usually if a father dies, then who's gonna pay for the wedding? How is she gonna get taken care of and all these type of things? Man, God came through for her and blessed her with Pastor Danny, a good family, a pastor's home. They had a wedding that was so much bigger than a wedding that I had or anyone that I know here. It was like $50,000 a wedding. Her family, who were Hindus, they were looking at her and what God had did and said, your God is basically God. And wow, you know, and just hearing those testimonies. And she said, in the midst of all the pain, God was there for me when my father passed, and he showed me that his love doesn't fail, and he'll always be with us. And she would testify that to her family members and people in the midst of that pain. And Madison and I are sitting in a car just crying, listening to her testimony. Because you know when it gets deep, and the devil, when you're in the midst of your pain, he starts telling you God doesn't care about you. There is no help for you. But then all of a sudden, the Holy Ghost comes in and says, I'm here. Look up to the hills from which cometh your help. Your help comes from the Lord.